Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Playmakers Bar podcast. This is your college football edition.
We're talking college football here, and on today, my partner Dallas Gunn is not here. He's out enjoying his anniversary, his 1 year anniversary of being a married man. So today, I have Trent here from Untitled Chapter. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. I'm doing good. As you know, week 1 is in the books, so we're gonna recap week 1. We're gonna talk about the SEC, and we're gonna get ready for week 2. So to recap week 1, Trent, what was the biggest standout to you from week 1?
The biggest standout had to be the struggle of the SEC East teams, in my opinion. You had teams like Tennessee, they're struggling really bad. Missouri, Vanderbilt. I mean, they were playing Georgia, but they really didn't put up a fight at all.
I'm looking at the group of 5 teams, man. You know, Boise State went into Florida State and took down Florida State. Georgia State went into Tennessee and beat Tennessee. Hawaii took down Arizona back in week 0. Cincinnati taking out UCLA. The group of 5 is starting to punch back after years of being overlooked and ran over by these Power 5 teams. The group of 5 teams are starting to push back. And it's making college football a little more unpredictable now. With that being said, we do have a new group of 5 list. And Trent, I would like to get your thoughts on this list because we're doing a top 5 group of 5 every week here. So our new list consists of UCF at number 1, Boise State is at number 2, Nevada is at 3, Hawaii is at 4, and Cincinnati is at 5.
You know, I don't think I could have done much better with that list myself. UCF, obviously, on top with the last few years they've had. Winning the bowl games, you know. Who'd you have a second again?
Boise State?
Yeah, I mean, they went in, and if you actually read the story on what actually happened to them, the conditions they had to practice in, and they went in there and beat a team like Florida State, you know, it kind of embarrassed them, honestly.
I like Nevada. Nevada pulled off a last-second upset over Purdue, which was surprising because a lot of people talked about Purdue when it came to the Big Ten, and already Nevada kept that momentum right out the gate.
Yeah, with them having Wendell Moore, I thought him being the X factor would have helped Purdue put them over, but I don't know. Like a lot of good teams just struggled, and of course it's week 1, and they're gonna figure it out eventually. But it was just really surprising to see how many upsets, and especially from that group of 5 we was talking about. You know, they're taking down some pretty big teams.
Well, me and Dallas, we talked about Hawaii last week when we were recapping week 0 and what happened against Arizona. Cincinnati continued the struggles of Chip Kelly up in UCLA. They could just continued it. So, but they have a big game this week that we'll get into later. So that's the Playmakers Bar group of 5, top 5 going into week 2. UCF, Boise State, Nevada, Hawaii, and Cincinnati. Now we're gonna see if all these teams can stay where they at, or we're gonna have some more changes coming after week 2. As we shift gears, so we're gonna get back into the Southeastern Conference, as Trent brought up earlier about the Southeastern Conference East Division. It was not a good showing for this conference, as most people would consider the best conference in college football, and it did not have a good showing. Now, the top teams like Florida taking down Miami in week 0, Texas A&M winning their game, Alabama doing what they did to Duke, Auburn taking down Oregon, and Georgia taking down Vanderbilt, but LSU, Kentucky doing what they doing, but Ole Miss getting caught by Memphis. As I mentioned earlier, Georgia State catching Tennessee. Arkansas barely escaping Portland State. And the Kelly Bryant era got hit already because they went to Wyoming and they got caught. It's not a good start for the best conference, Trent.
No, especially not for the SEC. So as you said, like the top teams, they showed out, of course. But when you look at teams like Tennessee, and the Georgia State game, the offense, in my opinion, I think they really did play good enough to win that game. But it was really on the defensive side of the ball that tore them down. And looking at my notes, um, they gave up 17 points in the fourth quarter, and they gave up 24 points total in the second half. And when you give a team like that, like Georgia State, when you give them hope early in the game that they can win the game, they're going to go into halftime and come back out and play even better. So those types of teams, you got to put them out early, or else it's going to be a long game. And same thing with like teams like Missouri, Wyoming. Missouri, Kelly Bryant, big expectations on the season for him. And I think he played really great. 31 for 48, 423 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the thing that really got them, Kelly Bryant did throw an interception and lose a fumble, and they also lost a fumble from Larry Roundtree III. But the thing is they couldn't get any pressure on Wyoming's quarterback. They recorded 0 sacks and only 2 tackles for a loss. They forced 0 turnovers, and they let Wyoming go on a 27-0 run in the second quarter. So when you let as I said earlier, when you let these teams start off hot and give them confidence, it's really going to be a long day for you regardless.
Now I can flip that because South Carolina got caught by North Carolina. And from what I'm looking at, they was up 20-9 going to the fourth quarter. So how do you let North Carolina rip off 15 unanswered points to win the game in the fourth quarter?
Well, I thought about that, and the only answer I could come up with was the Mac Brown effect. He's finally back in college football, and I think he's had such an impact on that team. And if you watch the post game interview on the field, he got emotional and stuff. So he was really happy for his guys. He said, and I quote, "These guys made tons of mistakes, but I don't really care. We'll work on them later," unquote. So I really do think it came down to coaching.
I mean, some people from last week's poll that I did was interested in Georgia Vanderbilt. I don't know why, because I knew what was going to happen, and Georgia didn't disappoint. 30-6 to Vanderbilt. It's pretty much what I expected. But
yeah, got a 13.
Auburn.
Go ahead.
Auburn took down Oregon. Yes. Did Auburn just won the Pac-12 officially for the rest of the year, as they did last year when they beat Washington?
Yeah.
You say yes. So you saying the Pac-12 is done with Oregon losing to Auburn?
For right now, yes. But you never know. Oregon could win out, and I don't think the chances of that are very high. But anything's possible.
Because we were talking about the Pac-12 last weekend. With Arizona losing to Hawaii, that was a bad start. And then Cincinnati catching UCLA made it even more worse. But Utah helped bring it back by beating their rivals in BYU. Washington did what they need to do. USC survived Fresno State despite losing their quarterback, JT Daniels. And, you got Stanford still. But I think everybody's looking at Oregon. And I think everybody sees that when Auburn does it again to another Pac-12 team, it's like, what more do you want from the Pac-12?
Yeah, that's very true. And, USC was kind of a dark horse for the Pac-12 in my opinion. But now with their quarterback out for the season, I just don't think it's in the cards for them.
As we shift gears, I did something while going through the games of week one. I was trying to see who would be the front runner for the Heisman right now. At one point, it was Jonathan Taylor, because what he did to South Florida was just ridiculous.
Yes, that was not human what he did.
But when you got the Sunday night in Oklahoma, Jalen Hurts put on a show.
Woo. What was it?
And he wasn't even happy after it.
I mean,
So that lays me wrong that he wants to do more damage.
Yeah, I mean, especially what really impressed me with Jalen Hurts was really his pocket presence and his how comfortable he was in the pocket. Just striking time after time. He wasn't always relying on his legs, even though he did get 163 yards rushing. He was throwing strikes.
Like 20 for 23, 332, 3 touchdowns, 16 carries, 176, 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
Against a Houston team who was looking at to be one of the favorites in the American Conference.
Yep.
So I can see right now Jalen Hurts is the front runner. You can argue between ETN from Clemson and Jonathan Taylor for second for me, because both of those guys did put in some work.
Yeah, for me it's definitely Jalen Hurts right now. He threw for 3 touchdowns in that game. He also ran for 3 more, and he only turned over the ball once. And he won over this locker room with that game, I feel.
There you go. That's the recap of week 1. We got our front runners of the Heisman. We talked about the SEC, how it did not look good, but they have an opportunity to bounce back because week 2, there's some games for week 2. So let us start out with Cincinnati at Ohio State. Cincinnati's coming off a victory over Chip Kelly and UCLA, as we spoke earlier. But now they're going to Buckeye Country, and Justin Fields looks everything everybody said he would look like after that first game.
I mean, he was fantastic. He threw for 4 touchdowns, rushed for 1, I'm pretty sure, and 5 total touchdowns. That's the most from a debuting quarterback in Ohio State history. And I'm looking for not quite as big as a performance against Cincinnati, but I'm still feeling he's going to have an outstanding game.
So you like Ohio State in that one?
I do like Ohio State in this one. Ohio State is favored by 16. This could be a close game. You can't sleep on Cincinnati. Quarterback Desmond Ridder, 18 for 26, 242 yards with 2 touchdowns last game. Michael Warren II, 26 carries, 92 yards, and a touchdown. So, I mean, this team can score and put up yards. But if Ohio State's defense comes to play, then I don't really see. I see Ohio State probably winning more than what they're projected right now.
My partner, he's going with Ohio State as well, and I guess I'm gonna join the team and go and make it 3 for 3 for Ohio State. Keep it like that. We're gonna stick into the Big Ten because when we first made our preseason top 25 group of 5, we had Army at number 2. They struggled against Weiss, but they came out victorious. So now they're taking a trip to Ann Arbor, Michigan to take on the 7th-ranked Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Michigan here. My initial thoughts was Michigan, and I flipped back and forth on it a few times today, but I'm going to stick with them. Shea Patterson did great. Well, not great, but he did good. 17 for 29, 203 yards, 3 touchdowns. Zach Carbonet, 8 carries, 90 yards. If Shea Patterson continues that kind of play, they're going to remain as one of the top teams in the country. He struggled last year, and that's why they weren't really competing for the Big Ten. But I think he's improved a lot, and I see Michigan rolling in this game.
My partner's picking Michigan, and of course I'm picking Michigan. I picked Michigan to win the Big Ten, so I have to roll with Michigan.
Yeah,
I can't jump off that bandwagon, so I got to roll with Michigan. Michigan get John Harbaugh, get it. Just do what you've been doing, but once you get to the end of the game against Ohio State, finish the job. Yeah. Michigan, they are favored by 22.5 points. So there you go. Sticking with the Big Ten for another game, We have the 21st ranked Syracuse Orangemen taking the trip to Baltimore, Maryland, to take on the Maryland Terrapins. Oof.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting game. The line right now is very close. Maryland is
A
surprised.
2-point favorite.
Yes, that surprised me, but Maryland's a good team. They have some playmakers. Josh Jackson, quarterback, 15 for 24 last game, 245 yards, four passing touchdowns. Sorry. Mo Neal, running back, 14 carries, 89 yards, one touchdown. Do not write Maryland off in this game. This, I think, is going to be a shootout. I think both teams, I really think both teams will be in the 30s. So I really feel like whoever gets the first stop might win this game, honestly.
Mm. My partner, he has Syracuse winning this game. I think. Syracuse. Syracuse. They surprised a lot of people last year. Maryland was surprising a lot of people last year too, but I think they got caught by some injuries, and especially that heartbreaking loss to Ohio State last year. I think derailed them from that because they should have won that game.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take Maryland in this game.
My partner's taking Syracuse. Trent's taking Maryland. I think I'm gonna roll with the Terrapins here. I'm gonna roll with Scott Van Pelt and the Terrapins, man. I love Scott Van Pelt, so I'm gonna roll with his school. I'm gonna roll with Maryland at home. Now let's get into the Pac-12 because this is one of the group of 5 teams that we are paying attention to as well. We have Northern Illinois on the road to take on the 13th ranked Utah Utes.
This game has the potential to be interesting, but in the end, I really feel that Utah's rushing game is just going to be way too much for Northern Illinois to handle. Last game, Zach Moss ran 29 times, 187 yards with a touchdown. I mean, and that was against, what was it against?
BYU.
Yes, it was
rivalry game.
Yes, and I mean, just imagine what he's gonna do against Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois is good to get you one of your biggest upsets of the season now.
That's why I said it had potential to be interesting. They could pull off a great upset, but I don't see it in this one.
Man, the line is 22.5. Utah to over-under being 44.
Yep.
I know Utah at home, but woo. If you know Northern Illinois history, that's their type of game right there.
Yeah, and Ross Bowers, he had a pretty good first game, 20-33, 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns for Northern Illinois. So, I mean, if you have quarterback play like that, then the game will be interesting. So, it's going to be interesting how he plays.
But is one thing, like if my partner that was with him, he would tell you, Trent, this was one thing that I like to see from a team that's pretty much ranked 2 and pretty much one of the favorites in the conference.
What's that?
I watched Utah and BYU, and the one thing that stood out to me in that BYU game? Utah's defense. Utah has a defense.
Mm-hmm.
And that will make me pick Utah because they have a defense. I love Northern Illinois. I want to see them pull some upsets, but not against Utah. Utah got a defense. Them boys come to hit.
Yeah, I mean, Utah, why I was mentioning in Northern Illinois' quarterback just a minute ago is because Zach Wilson for BYU didn't throw for a touchdown. He actually threw 2 interceptions instead that game. And Utah held BYU, which is mostly a rushing team, in under 92 yards. So they do have a great defense, as you said.
Now I'm going to stick with the Pac-12 because let's see how Justin Herbert and the Ducks bounce back when they come home and got to take on Nevada, who is ranked 3rd in our poll.
Mm-hmm.
I always said tricky Nevada.
Yeah.
And now you coming off a loss to Auburn. Oregon's favored by 23, over under 62.5. But can they bounce back from this loss against a tricky team?
I do think that Oregon is going to bounce back, but I do not think the game will be decided by 23 or more points. I think it'll be decided more about maybe a touchdown and a field goal, maybe. Nevada really loves to air the ball out, just like Oregon does with Justin Herbert. Carson Strong for Nevada threw for 300 and 3 touchdowns on 30 of 51 passing. So this, I feel like, is going to be another shootout, and the first one to blink will be the one that loses. And Nevada really could do this, but I'm still going to take Oregon. I think Justin Herbert's going to be too much. But that's also depending on his injury too. You saw him get knocked up a little bit in the Auburn game. If he comes out 100%, I think Oregon's going to win this game. But if he's struggling, then I'm taking Nevada.
Those three games that's holding Group of 5 teams is the one we're looking at. Well, 4 games. So Nevada's at Oregon, Cincinnati's at Ohio State, Army's at Michigan, and Northern Illinois at Utah. So those 4 games could allow some changes to next week's poll. Just so y'all know that all you Group of 5 fans out there that's enjoying this, those are the games to look out for. So, but to get back into making some good picks. Whew. Stanford is at USC. With USC losing their quarterback, I have to go with Stanford. I have to go with Stanford on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same exact thing too. If USC's quarterback was not injured and he was playing this game, then I was actually going to take USC. But with that being said, I really think Stanford's going to win this game. I think they're going to win it easily too. I just don't see USC's offense doing that much without a passing game. Veve Malapi rushed for 23 carries actually, 134 yards and a touchdown. And I just don't see him doing that next game without really a throwing threat. But I could be wrong.
You know, Stanford been having USC number for like the past 5-6 years.
Oh yes.
It is gonna keep going. It's gonna keep rolling on. Like it's just gonna keep rolling on. And in which that would be a UCF's case, because if I remember correctly, I think next week Stanford goes to Orlando to take on the Knights. So
it's gonna be an interesting game.
So just saying, you know, that might be your game of the week next week. Just letting you know.
And that's gonna be a big statement game for UCF too, because they're overall these years, or last few years actually, they still haven't got the respect I think they deserve for their performances. But this is where I think they could earn it. Take down a team like Stanford and get the attention of the whole country again.
And the fan vote of the week, game of the week, voted by the fans on Facebook and Twitter. Texas A&M. Looking for revenge, ranked 12th in the polls. Looking for revenge as they take the trip to Death Valley in South Carolina to take on the top-rated team and defending champs Clemson Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
So many people want to watch this game, and I don't blame them. Last year, Clemson barely escaped College Station, but now they're at home. Texas A&M Jimbo Fisher is going to Death Valley. Death Valley is no stranger to Jeff Fisher, but to Texas A&M it is. So how does Jimbo get his team ready for this tall task right here? Because if Texas A&M pulls this off, the ACC might be done when it comes to the playoff. So with that being said, Trent, how you see this game going?
Well, I think this game is actually going to be decided in the trenches, especially for Texas A&M. And Kellen Mond last year was among the most sacked quarterbacks in the SEC last year. So if they can get Kellen Mond some time to throw in the pocket, make some good decisions, then Texas A&M could pull this out. But we are talking about Clemson's defense now, among the top in the nation. I don't see I don't see Kellen Mond having too much time to make some plays. I think Clemson's going to overwhelm him, and I see Clemson rolling in this game by 2 touchdowns.
Oh, that's almost close in line with the line is because 17.5 Clemson.
Yeah.
CTN went for 12 carries, 205 yards, 3 touchdowns against Georgia Tech in a game that opened the SEC network.
Yep.
That's just ridiculous because Trevor Lawrence struggled.
Oh, big time. That's going to be an interesting storyline in this game too, because if he even if his defense is there to stop Kellen Mond, that doesn't mean Trevor Lawrence is going to play great. If he doesn't play great, then Texas A&M can still win this game.
And if I remember correctly, he struggled last year when they went to Texas A&M.
Yes, he did.
So, if CTN doesn't get off, and I don't think he will get off the way he got off on Georgia Tech, Trevor Lawrence, you the Heisman favorite going into the season. You might want to look like Jalen Hurts is going forward. Justin Fields is coming forward. Jonathan Taylor and your old running back is coming for that Heisman.
Mm-hmm.
People thinking you might be the best quarterback to ever play the game of college football. You on the big stage, the bright lights will be on. That's the afternoon kickoff game, 3:30. What you gonna do? My partner is going Clemson. I'm gonna roll with Clemson. It's Death Valley.
I'm also gonna take Clemson.
It's Death Valley.
Yep, no beating it.
It's Death Valley. But I'm looking forward to a very interesting game. And I might live tweet that game on our page. Either that one or the game of the week. Austin, Texas, the site of College Game Day. Remember I told you the SEC has a chance. Texas A&M's at Clemson.
Yeah.
The 6th-ranked Tigers. All right, the 9th-ranked Texas Longhorns.
Well, LSU is favored by, I think it's 5.5 right now.
Yep, 5.5.
But as much as I love the SEC, I think Texas is back. I really do. Sam Ehlinger, one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, threw for 28 times, completed 28 times actually, threw 38 times, 276 yards, 4 touchdowns, 73% completion. I really think he's going to have an outstanding game against an outstanding LSU defense. And Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's good, but I don't think he's this big game good. I don't think he has enough to take down Texas. And if you look at the statistics from last year, LSU did not return a single receiver that was in the top 50 in the SEC in receiving yards. I mean, maybe he's got some young bucks to throw to, but as of right now, I don't think he has enough weapons to take down Texas.
You're picking Texas.
Yeah.
My partner's picking LSU. My partner, he doesn't pick against the SEC West. He just doesn't do it. He's not going to do it. Joe Burrow, 23 for 27, 278, 5 touchdowns against Georgia Southern. Pretty much the same caliber team that probably Texas played in week 1. So it's even playing field. LSU is known for having defense.
Yep.
We gonna find out for sure if Texas is really back.
Yep.
To follow what they did at Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. If they follow this up from what they did at Georgia in the Sugar Bowl and they beat down Georgia. They beat down Georgia.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just call it what it is. They gave Georgia a beating. But this is a SEC West team. It ain't Alabama, but it's the next best thing. It is LSU. Sam Ehlinger, are you ready for this? Because the LSU is coming. Just know they have defensive linemen, they have linebackers, and they have some corners. They always have all the 4. You got to be ready for this. You at home. The bright lights is on. This is College Game Day going to be there. We talking Kurt Hershey is calling your game. What you gonna do, man? And knowing me, I'm an SEC guy, and I'm not jumping off the bandwagon. I'm going LSU.
Oh man.
I'm going LSU. Texas gonna have to prove to me they bad because just because they beat down Georgia, just because they looked so good. Guess what? Guess who won the Big 12 though? Guess who beat you to beat the Big 12 and to get into the playoffs? And you just see what Jalen Hurts did to a Group of 5 team that was one of the favorites. That pretty much says y'all better respond.
Yeah, this is a very big statement game for Texas. I'm still picking Oklahoma to win the Big 12, but this is to earn the respect of Oklahoma, basically.
So Texas, LSU, that's your college game day site. So now, not to put you on the spot, Trent, but besides the games we talk about, what game is you looking forward to that caught your eye?
I really like the Boise State Marshall game. And that's a really unorthodox one. But after what Boise State did to Florida State in week 1, I'm looking for them to follow that up with another big performance. They're now ranked 24th in the nation. They're finally getting some respect. Now it's time to continue that. It doesn't stop at Florida State. You got to keep rolling. And that's starting with Marshall. And Boise State's only favored by 11.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that one. I gotta admit, I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, it was a really weird pick, but I'm excited for Boise State. They've been a really consistent team throughout the years, honestly. And I mean, there was a reason no big teams, no Power 5 teams wanted to play them. It's because they kept losing sometimes. And finally, Boise State is getting some respect.
Man, I got a couple of them on here. Last week, my partner Dallas, he literally picked Clemson and Georgia Tech because he wanted to see how that was gonna go.
Yeah.
Because opening the SEC network and they picked Georgia. They picked that conference game to open it up with. So that caught his attention because it wasn't like everybody else. They ain't opened up against some cupcake team from the FCS. It's like your opening season is against a conference opponent on the SEC network. So that caught his attention. I got a couple here. Check this out. West Virginia's going to Missouri.
Oh, that's gonna be a real big bounce back game for Missouri.
What does West Virginia look like without Will Greer? And as you said, can Missouri bounce back from being upset at Wyoming?
Yeah, Missouri is favored by 14 right now. With the performance of Kelly Bryant, I think Missouri really needs to put some emphasis on running the ball a little bit more. Their leading rusher, Tyler Batty, only had 16 carries for 53 yards. So I really think they need to get better with the rushing game. They can't just put it all on Kelly. But I do see Missouri bouncing back in this game.
So I'm kind of interested in seeing how Missouri and West Virginia going to look in this game. And I'm going to go out to the Pac-12. I'm going to give y'all some love now, even though y'all look terrible. I'm going to give y'all some love because California is at 14 ranked Washington.
Ooh, that's a really interesting game.
I'm looking at a defensive battle going here. Washington has a 14-point line with the over-under being 42.5. I'm looking for a defensive game up in Seattle. Cal always got a defense. Washington's been dominating the Pac-12 for who knows how long right about now. So I'm looking for a defensive game around 10:30 at night. It's the type of game you can't go to sleep. It's the type of game that's gonna put you to sleep because you ain't gonna see a lot of scoring. I can guarantee you that.
Nope. And I'm gonna be staying up late to watch Jacob Eason, former Georgia quarterback, transferred to Washington, had an outstanding game in week 1. 27 of 36, 349 yards, 4 touchdowns. But on the other end, Christopher Brown for Cal had 36 carries for 197 yards and a touchdown. So it would be very impressive to see both defenses kind of contain those playmakers.
Ooh, that's gonna be good for the Pac-12. See, the Pac-12, I'm gonna give them this week. They got a good slate for the 10:30 slot. You got Cal, Washington, and Stanford, USC. I mean,
Yes, it's a very good slate.
it's a very good slate. You know, not a lot of people on the East Coast stay up that late, but if you do, you got a couple of good ones to look at. So, hey, that's what it's gonna be. There you go. We got you ready for week 2. We capped the group of 5 top 5 for us again. UCF at 1, Boise is at number 2, Nevada's at 3, Hawaii's at 4, and Cincinnati's at 5. There's gonna be some changes for next week's top 5. We're gonna see who's gonna stay in or who's getting dropped out. So I best believe I see UCF staying there because they playing for Atlanta. You know, I'm pretty sure they might drop another 50 or 60 burger on that one.
Yeah, and don't count out the Tennessee and BYU game either.
Oh,
See, they both have bounce back games. You know, it's going to be interesting to see who wants this more, and to see if Tennessee's already quit on the season.
all right, BYU fans, Trent gave y'all a bone. Don't worry, we'll be patching to the group of 5. We got you covered. So, with that being said, look, if you haven't checked out, check out the NFL podcast. We're gonna get you ready for week 1. You know, week 1 is good. We're gonna see how everything goes. We're gonna recap all of it, starting with the Bears and Packers. So, looking out for that. And Trent, hey, it's been a pleasure, man.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on, Darnell. It's been a pleasure.
All right, we'll catch you next time.
Have a good one.